welcome. How are you doing? I've messed it. Can you see this? Oh, for anyone watching tomorrow, I've had a bit of a look at it. I've had a bit of a game with my makeup. Sorry, everyone. If you are watching tomorrow, sorry. Had a bit of a my nose all red. Marvellous. Well, it looked all right in the mirror. I normally do it on camera before I join, but it looked okay. Right, how are we all anyway? Hey, Hayley, did you have a good holiday? You didn't have to apologise for last week, you numpty. That's okay. I appreciate any time you join, so thank you. Right, where are we now? I'll tell you what I want to do while we're just waiting very quickly. I'm going to... Bear with me. I'm going to try something. No, it's too bright. Wait there. Can you see any? Can you see my... Let me know if you can see my... That's a bit too much. Let's try that. Should we try that? Hold on. Okay. There we go. How does that look? Hi, Kelly. How you doing? Excuse me. Cough shouldn't be as bad this week, she says. Hi, Phil. Happy Jess Rose Day. Woohoo. We like Thursdays. How are we all? Hope you're okay. Did you have a good Halloween? Did you do anything? My makeup is horrific today. I don't know what has gone on. It looked fine earlier. My nose looks all messed up. Okay. If you're watching tomorrow, I apologise for all the faffing. But let's begin. I hope you've all had a good week. Halloween was crazy. We had quite a bit of fun. I had my parents come visit, which was amazing. Had some fireworks and stuff. The kids scaring the life out of everyone. It was great. It was good fun. Hope you all... And Hayley, I don't know if you answered. Did you have a good holiday? I hope you did. Hi, Natalie. I haven't seen you there, but I can see Tiff saying hello. Hope you're all good. Right then, should we start? Because I am late. I'm so sorry if you were all waiting. I am a little bit late. My kids decided to have a Fortnite fight. Now, if you've got kids that play on consoles, you'll understand my pain when they're fighting over Fortnite. Went on for ages. Went on for absolutely ages. They're back at school on Monday, so yay. I remember last week I was so excited they broke up, and now it's like, I want them to go back now. Right, okay, let's go. Okay, I don't know if you've heard this one. I've had so many recommendations this week. And this one was one of my first recommendations. It was actually from my mum. And I done Rachel O'Reilly, I think it was. And then she asked for this one, which is The Brutal Case of Ireland's Scissor Sisters. Says it all, doesn't it, in the title? Now, I don't know if you've heard of this one, but it's quite graphic. So just letting you know, it is quite graphic. But yeah, let's give it. Now, what I will warn you, I've been going on various platforms to find out information about this. There's some that are saying one thing, some that are saying another, but it's not major details. So I'm going to tell you the details I've found on more than one platform. So it seems to be how it is, but it's not major details, so it shouldn't make any odds. Okay, so The Brutal Case of Ireland's Scissor Sisters. Now, we had a couple called Kathleen and John Mulhall. Apparently they started off in Cork in Ireland. Now that's where they were originally. I believe when they married and had children, they then moved to Dublin. They ended up having 3 girls and 3 boys. Very dysfunctional family, I'll say that straight off. Very, very dysfunctional. A lot of domestic violence in the family. Just drugs, alcohol, just not a great family life for bringing up your kids, but you know, that's how it went. And Kathleen and John were actually married for 29 years. So They stayed together for a long time through it. Now, two of their girls, and I remember I said they had 3 girls and 3 boys. Two of their daughters was Linda Mulhall, who was born in 75, and Charlotte Mulhall was born in 1984. So it's like 9 years between them. Now, I don't know if this kid, the other siblings, you hear about them intermittently, but there's not a lot of history on the other siblings, and I think for good reason, really. Now, Kathleen, her original name was Ward. She was called Kathy Ward, but like I say, she married John, and they were married for 29 years. Now, the family, when we're coming up to date with this story, were living in the working class area of I've got to try and pronounce this now. It's an Irish Tallow in Dublin. It's spelled Tallaght. Talla. That's how I've heard it pronounced, Talla. So they were living in Talla, Dublin. Like I said, John was quite abusive with Kathleen. It had been like this for most of their marriage. So eventually they do break up. The cough's not as bad. I will warn you, it's not as bad. So when they broke up, John and Kathleen, they still continued to live in the family home. I think it was probably more down to finances than keeping the family together, but I could be. Maybe it was. I don't know, but it doesn't strike me as that was the reason. But there was a lot of drugs and alcohol involved in this situation. Hard drugs as well. We're talking ecstasy tablets, heroin. You know, the whole thing's thrown at this family. You know, it was quite a rough upbringing, let's say that, for the kids. Now, after 29 years together, like I say, they're living together, they've broke up. Well, Kathleen goes on to meet a fella by the name of Farah Swaleh Noor, and she meets him in 2002. Now, Farah, let me tell you a little bit about him. Now, Farah came to Dublin in 1996. And what he'd said was, when he came into Dublin, he said he was from Somalia, and that he was kind of an asylum seeker from the wars that were going on there. He wasn't. He was actually from Kenya. And that was found out. It was found out that he was there under, he was lying. He wasn't from Somalia. In the meantime of Farah being, let me say now, Farah was not a good man. It doesn't appear that he was a good man. Let's say that. So Farah was about to be deported. When he'd gone to Ireland, he'd said his parents were killed and everything else. Turns out his family were alive and well in Kenya. He was about to be deported by the Irish authorities, but he was allowed to stay and gain citizenship of an Irish citizenship. Let me put my teeth back in. Irish citizenship, because he said that he had a child that was born in Ireland. Let me tell you how that son came about. That son came about because Farah, he'd raped a mentally disabled Chinese girl. And he'd done that in 1997. So he'd only been in Ireland a year when he'd done that. And she'd gone on to have a baby boy. Not a good man. Then he went on to have a relationship with a girl who was said to be around 15, 16, and have a child with her. And he was with her for 2 years, it was said. But where were her parents? Just out of curiosity, just throwing it out there. She was still at school. but he went on to have a child with her. It was said that he'd attacked and assaulted 2 other women over the next couple of years. He'd received charges for disorder and assault, but he'd never served time in jail. For some reason, can you hear them? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me give a shout. Well, bear with me 1 second. If you're watching this tomorrow or you're watching it now, let me just go and stop what's happening above me. I'm so sorry. Talk amongst yourselves 1 second. I am getting people complaining on this live. Can you pack it in? I'm back. Just a harsh word in their ear, but we shouldn't hear much more from them now. So, okay, where were we? So, Farah, it is your niece and nephew, and they're a nightmare. They're not settling. Normally it's okay because it's a school night, so they'll be settling about now. But of course it's not, so they want to play up. So let's start again, shall we? Okay, this is the problem with doing lives. This is a problem, so I do apologise. I know Phil, he is a horror. Farah is not a good man, supposedly. But although he wasn't, he didn't spend any time in jail through these things that he'd done. It was said that he was convicted on 3 occasions, but never served any jail time. It's very confusing to me. You know, I mean, he rapes a mentally disabled girl and gets her pregnant. I just don't. That baffled my brain a little bit. I don't understand. And maybe it might have been better if he had have been in prison. If you know the story, you'll know why. If not, I'm about to tell you. Okay. So, like I say, Farah had met Kathleen in 2002. And he'd moved in with her and John. Now, eventually, John realised this wasn't going to work. You know, him in the same house as his ex-wife's new boyfriend. It was all a very odd setup. The kids were there. It's all very bizarre. So John moves out of the family home, and a couple of the kids go with him. They do leave with him. So then Kathleen and Farah then decide to move to Cork together. While this is happening, John gets wind of it. He moves back to the family home with the couple of the kids he's got with him. Farah and Kathleen, while they're in Cork, they have a lot of fallings out. It turns out Kathleen discovers that Farah's violent too. She's gone in from the frying pan into the fire by the looks of it. They're arguing an awful lot there. They haven't got a lot of money. So after not too long a time, they come back to Dublin. When they come back, they start renting a house, and it's in where I said Tallow, Dublin. Okay, that's where we are. Summerhill, Dublin, not Tallow. So I finally got the name right, and so when they moved back to Somerville, Dublin, Summerhill, Dublin. I've got the dog barking now. I'm just not meant to do this one tonight, am I? It's terrible, but I'm going to ignore her. If you can ignore her, I can ignore her. She'll go back upstairs. Okay, so that's the backstory on Kathleen and John. Farah, not a good guy. John wasn't great. Kathleen, questionable. So now I just want to give you a little bit of a backstory on Charlotte and Linda. Now, Charlotte and Linda are John and Kathleen's daughters. Sounds like a lot of names, but it'll all come in eventually. Now, Linda, in 2005, we're going to go to 2005. Remember I said she was born in 75. So in 2005, she's 30. At this point, Linda has got 4 kids, no job, no partner at that time, because the kid's dad, it didn't work out with. It doesn't say why, it just says it didn't work out. She meets another guy, and she's with him for a little while, but it turns out he's rotten too. And not saying her original guy was rotten, I take that back, but this fella is. And he not only abuses her, but he abuses her 4 kids to the point where he's beating them with extension cords. He's rotten. Social services get involved. He gets arrested. He gets locked up for 7 years, I believe. That was her ex-partner. So at this point, she's single, thank goodness. But she actually, after that, she loses her kids through this through this abusive partner. Her kids are put into care originally, and then they get given to one of her brothers to look after. And so with her, lots of history of drug and alcohol abuse, heroin, the whole shebang. She's a bit messed up. And given the upbringing that she's had, there's no excuse here, but it's like it was written for her, unless she'd have been strong enough to go down a different route. Now we have Charlotte. She's 9 years younger than Linda. She's 21 in 2005. You'll see why I keep saying 2005 in a second, because that's when this story really begins. She, again, although she's only 21, she's got a history of drug and alcohol abuse. I think she was arrested for prostitution at one point. They're all a nightmare. The names I'm saying, the other kids, the other Mohawk kids, bar a couple of them, they could have been doing amazingly well. I didn't find too much about them. God, my teeth aren't in tonight. Okay. So now we come up to the 20th of March, 2005. Okay. Now, this is St. Patrick's Day weekend in Ireland. And if you know we're Irish, it's St. Patrick's Day weekend. It's a big thing. You can have, in Birmingham, obviously, you had the parade weekend. Then you would have St. Patrick's Day itself, which would normally be a couple of days before or after. It's a big, big celebration. And in Ireland, as you can imagine, it's double that. It's a huge weekend in Ireland. So Linda and Charlotte, the 2 Mohawk daughters that I was telling you about, 30 and 21, they're out drinking. St. Patrick's Day weekend, they're out, they're having a good laugh by themselves, and they think, let's phone Mum, Kathleen, and Farah. So they do, and they invite them to come and, have a good time with them in Dublin. But rather than what most people would do on St. Patrick's Day weekend, which would be 9 times out of 10 going to one of the many, many pubs you can go to in Dublin city centre, they didn't do that. They bought some drugs, and they bought a bottle of vodka, or a couple of bottles of vodka, some mixers, and they just drank and did drugs around London city centre. It doesn't sound fun to me. That doesn't sound appealing to me whatsoever. Just walking around getting drunk around the streets, especially at this point in time. Farah's 38. Kathleen, the mum, is in her 50s. Even the youngest one, Charlotte, she's 21. Why are you walking around the streets drinking? Linda, it's crazy to me. But anyway, that was what they chose to do. So while they're doing this, it's, the drugs are kicking in, the alcohol's kicking in. And like I say, Farah and Kathleen, it was quite a violent relationship for, it was. And they started kicking off in Dublin High Street, I don't know the name of the High Street. I think it was Connell Street or O'Connell Street. That's where I heard it was. And And they were just kicking off around there, fighting. And so the girls, Charlotte and Linda, are like, come on, let's just go back to your house. We can't be doing this on the street. So the four of them go back, go back home. But on their way, they bump into one of Farah's friends. And it's a lad from Somalia that he'd met. Now, bear in mind, Farah's from Kenya. He said he was from Somalia, but he wasn't. But anyway, this lad that he met was one from Somalia. And Farah introduces the three Mohol women to him. And, they have a little chat and on they go. They part ways and off they go. So Farah, Kathleen, Linda and Charlotte all go back to Kathleen's home, the rental house that she's got. And they're drinking and it's a good time and they're playing music. But as happens sometimes, starts to get a little bit tetchy. They start bickering at each other, Kathleen and Farah do. So while Farah's in the bathroom, Kathleen comes up with the great idea of crushing an ecstasy tablet and putting it in his drink. And her mind frame, her thought process of this is that if she gets, they've all took ecstasy tablets, Kathleen, Linda and Charlotte have, Farah didn't. So she felt that if he was on the same level as them, they'd just have a much better time. Drug logic, that's all I can say. It's all that can be. So they crush this in his drink. So as he's drinking, obviously the drugs are taking effect. He starts getting a little bit friendly with one of the girls, and it's not Kathleen. It's her daughter Linda, the 30-year-old, 30. And she was sat next to him like on a 2-seater sofa. She was sat next to him and he starts like whispering sexual things into her ear. He starts kind of touching her. Charlotte sat on the arm of the sofa. Kathleen's on another chair in the same room. Charlotte and Kathleen are kind of looking at each other, not too happy with what's going on. Kathleen especially not happy. This is her partner and he's kind of touching on her daughter. And next thing you know, I don't know if he pulled her onto his lap or she was trying to stand up, Linda was, but he grabbed her around her waist and he won't let go. And Kathleen at this point stood up. She's screaming at him, let go of my daughter. What are you doing? What are you playing at? Linda's looking at her mum, get him off me. And he's not letting go. And Charlotte's kind of like, what's going on? The whole evening, afternoon is getting ruined. And so Kathleen in the end launches at Farah and separates them. But Farah and Kathleen now start kicking off, which they've done on many, many occasions. But on this occasion, Farah it was said that he made a gesture of violence towards her. Now, all I can assume it was something like this. Because it says gesture, and that's what I'm assuming it was. I'm going to kill you, basically. And they'd fought on many occasions. So I would presume he's done this before. Well, Kathleen turned round to her daughters and she goes, kill him for me before he kills me. To her daughters. Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? Like killing before he kills me. When I say odd, it sounds like he's taking my slap or something. No. These girls take this very literally. Very literally. And while Kathleen sits back down on a sofa, Charlotte goes out to the kitchen. She comes back with a Stanley blade. And she slits his throat. Farah's throat. And he was stood up at the time and it was said he fell down at this point, but he's still alive. He hasn't killed him, but he's still, he's still alive, but he's down on the floor. Okay. So now Charlotte continues to stab him with this Stanley knife. She stabs him 20 times. This is Charlotte. Linda, not to be outdone by her little sister, goes and gets a hammer. She starts beating him around the head. These two girls are destroying this man in front of his partner being their mum. And she's just sat there chilling, having a fag. Go on, girls. See him off. I mean, I said that we're dysfunctional, but my God. What can you say? So he was stabbed up to 20 times, like I say. Mum's just watching, not doing anything. She doesn't take part. She doesn't help him. She doesn't help them. But she just sits there watching this whole thing take over. So now, when they realise he's dead, I think it was Charlotte that says, Mum, he's done, he's dead. They go, right, what are we going to do about this now? So Kathleen, in all her wisdom, phones up her ex-husband, John, because they need a bit of help. John comes round to the house, walks in, and he walks into utter destruction. Blood everywhere, this dead man on the floor. The girls covered in blood. The mum just sat there, like, look at what we did. Look at our handiwork. Come and peruse what we've done. And John's want no part of this whatsoever. And he leaves. He's gone. He wants no part of it. And so the girls are on their own. The three of them are on their own. I say the three of them. But again, Kathleen has no part in this next bit. Linda and Charlotte drag Farah into the bathroom of this home. And you've got it. If you haven't guessed it, you've got it now. They begin to dismember him. They dismember him. And it's horrific. They do this in the bath. And they do it with a bread knife. So you can imagine how long and how gory this bathroom must have been by the end. They cut his head off. They cut his limbs off. They cut I don't know what I can say on this. Mind you, I've said a lot already, haven't I? They cut his penis off. They just dismember every part of this man. And then they get a bit tired, the girls do. You know, they've had a busy night, so they go to bed. They go to bed, the two girls do. And Kathleen now, she's like, oh, I better clean up. I better have a little clean up. You know, they've made a bit of a mess. So she begins cleaning while the girls are asleep. Anyway, she gets them up and she goes, right, we've got to do something about this. So as they're all kind of thinking, that I presume they're coming out of their drunken, drug-fueled haze now, and they're like, what are we going to do? There's a knock on the door. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. And they panic. Of course they would. They've got a dead body and blood all around the house. But it's John. It's their dad, Kathleen's ex-husband, comes in. He basically says, what's done's done now. And I've got to help you. The whole family. It's crazy. So he goes about, he brings all these black bags. I think he brought some cleaning supplies. He bags up the different body parts of Farah, not the head. They all come up. I don't know if it was just the girls came up with it or he was part of this, but they decide they need to keep the head separate because then he can't be recognised. They keep all Farah's clothes on, everything he's wearing that day. Chopping him up, he's still got, you know, his t-shirt on. I presume he's got his bottoms on. He's definitely got his socks on. But they think, right, let's separate the head. You'll get where I'm going with this pretty soon. So John helps them, I think with a van. They go to the Royal Canal in Dublin and they throw all of Farah's dismembered body parts into this river. This is horrific. It's horrific when you think about it. So John now, he's felt he's helped his family. He goes home. Now they're left. Now, what I will say about this case, I've looked everywhere. I don't know where Farah's penis is or was, or where it was put, or where it's been hidden. So that part, I don't know. That was never in all of the everywhere I've looked. I don't know where that was put. But his head, are you ready? They put into a rucksack, and they think, right, we need to bury this somewhere. So they get on a bus. They leave the house and they get on a bus with his head. Then they go to a cafe and have breakfast. All the while carrying Farah's head in a rucksack. You know, when I do these stories, I'm like, sometimes I have no words of not a care in the world. Like, it's because it's the bank holiday, isn't it? It's the bank holiday of St. Patrick's Day, so just trudging around with your mum's head in a rucksack. So they've gone for their breakfast. So what they do, they go to Sean Walsh Memorial Park in Tala, and they're sat in this park, and Linda has got a knife. She starts digging a hole with the knife to pop his head into, and that's where they put his head, cover it up, and they go home. And over the next couple of days, after the fact, there was CCTV found of Kathleen going to and from the shops, getting cleaning supplies, because her house is, as you can imagine, don't forget he was stabbed in one room, he was dismembered in another. The house is destroyed. So she spends the next few days cleaning up the house. The girls go back to their business. You know, like, everything's perfectly fine for a little while. But Linda, she's having real trouble. She's having real trouble with what they've done, Linda is. The older daughter this is now. She's not coping with this very well at all. So on the 30th of March, so 10 days after this had happened, a fella's walking by the canal, and he says he thought it was like a mannequin leg at first. We hear that a lot, don't we? You know, when people come upon bodies or body parts or anything like that, they always think it can't be real. And I can imagine that you wouldn't want it to be real. You wouldn't have seen that probably in your life. So you're like, is that? It was Farah's leg with his socks still on. So this is found in this, like I say, it was, what canal was it now? I did say the name of the canal, didn't I? Royal Canal. It's not far from Croke Park, if you've heard of that. It's a big park in Ireland. And so the police then get a diving team and they go down and they find all of his body parts in this canal. It's only 10 days later. As a side note, how many stories have I done or have you heard of where they always go to a canal or a river? Why? Or they always it always gets found. It's quite. Ugh. So the divers find the rest of his body parts. So through the media now, they hold up. It's like an Irish t-shirt, Ireland t-shirt. I think it's rugby. And his friend, do you remember the Somalian friend I said he bumped into when he was with the three women out in Dublin when they were all drinking? Well, he recognised that t-shirt. He knew he hadn't seen him in a while. And he just came forward on the off chance that it could be him. He didn't know, but it could be. So when he came forward, he says, well, look, if it is him, he was with these three women. And so the police go around to Kathleen's house, and Kathleen, John, Linda, Charlotte, all brought into the police station. They all deny seeing it. They all deny anything to do with it. They're like, don't know what you're on about. Police don't have any more details. They don't know anymore. So they let them go. So now Linda, remember I says it's not settling with her very well. She goes back to that park that they buried his head in, which was what park did we say it was now? She goes back to, bear with me, I want to get the park right. Okay, she goes back to Sean Walsh Memorial Park in Tulane. She digs his head back up. Digs it back up. Puts it in her son's school rucksack this time. Different rucksack. And she's panicking. She's like, I don't know what to do with it, but she knows she can't leave it there. So then she takes it to a field in Kilnarden Estate, Tullow. So it's not far. It's not far from this park where they'd originally buried his head. But what she does then, she smashes it up with a hammer. I don't know if it was the same hammer I don't believe it was the same hammer that was used in his murder. But she smashes it up, and then she deposits parts of his head. Well, all of his head, but in parts around these different bins around this site. Oh, it's just horrific, isn't it? It's just awful. It's just awful. And it's 10 days after, decomposition and everything else. It just sounds terrible. No wonder this girl couldn't see. No wonder she couldn't. So Linda, like I say, she can't cope with this. She just can't. So even though they were questioned, they were let go. If they would just stay quiet, who knows? But Linda couldn't. She couldn't cope with it. Now, like I say, I have heard different stories, and I've also heard that the mum went to visit one of her sons, so Linda and Charlotte's brother, in prison, and that she told him what they'd done. Now, I've heard that, like I say, on one platform, but I didn't hear it on any others, so I don't know how true that was. And it was said that that's how they got them. But another thing was that Linda came forward, but regardless of how the police knew it was them, Linda confessed. Anyway, well, regardless of which way it was done, she confessed. She explained everything that happened that night. She said her dad hadn't had anything to do with it. You know, he'd helped, but he didn't have anything to do with it. And then, but even after Kathleen, remember I said she'd been seen going getting all these cleaning supplies and everything. Even after all her so-called cleaning of her house, when the police went round there was still Farah's blood in the bathroom. It was still there. She hadn't cleaned up. You know how they can find minute little spots of blood in these kind of forensics and stuff. So they found it, done the DNA, it was Farah's. So they arrested the two girls, Linda and Charlotte. Do you want to know what Mum did? Do you want to know what Mummy Dearest did, who encouraged all of this and was behind all of this? She fled to England. She ran away and left her daughters to cope, to handle everything that came with it. She just ran. She goes to England. So this is 2005. Now, this happened in March 2005. Linda confessed in August 2005, so she only lasted a couple of months before she couldn't cope with it anymore. And Kathleen, in September 2005, when this was all gonna go bad, that's when she ran. She came to England, got herself a little council house and everything, started to get herself a nice little life, was living by the name of Kathy Ward. I believe that was her maiden name. And yeah, just living herself a nice life. She was in England and left her kids out to dry. I know it's a dysfunctional family, but come on. No loyalty whatsoever. None. None. So Linda and Charlotte at this point now are charged with murder. Okay, so at the trial in October 2006, Linda was actually found guilty of manslaughter, and it was believed that she was her charge was manslaughter because, one, she confessed. Two, it was said that she didn't it wasn't her strikes of the hammer that would have killed him. No, I don't know. His head's never been found, so I don't know. She was very remorseful, and so she was charged with manslaughter. She got, and convicted of manslaughter. She got 15 years. Charlotte, she was the youngest. She was only 21. She ended up having a baby in the May of 2006. So she got pregnant not long after she did this in 2004. She got pregnant not long after. So obviously just wanted to go on and live a life. She was found guilty of murder because she showed no remorse whatsoever. None. I wouldn't say she was proud of it, but she certainly didn't feel bad about what she did. So they, like I say, she got life. Charlotte did. Did I say she got life? She got life. Charlotte did. Linda, like I say, got 15 years. And they were sent to Mountjoy Prison in Dublin. And any future appeals that they tried to put forward were turned down. They didn't get any appeals. They got no time off or anything else. So that was the two girls. Now, Kathleen was eventually found in England. She was found in 2008. 3 years later, she was found. Well, it was 2.5 years because she was found in February of 2008. And her trial was May 2009. So it took a while, but I don't think she ever even confessed to what she did, or maybe she just said, oh, I only did this. I mean, the girls always said she had no part in it, but oh my God. So they threw the book at her for what they could throw the book at her with, basically lying, withholding evidence, those sort of charges. And she was sentenced to 5 years. Her youngest daughter's doing life, and she got 5 years. Mother of the Year, would you not say? Would you not agree? Craziness. Okay, so when Kathleen was released, when she eventually got out, I believe she got out in 2011. I think she'd done 3 years because she did time served, something, but it was 2011 she got out. She moved back to England, and a house that she'd had while she was here, a little council house, had gone, obviously. So she moved in with one of her sons who was living in England. Now, again, this I've only heard of on one platform. So I believe this is what happened, but I'll say allegedly. So when she moved back to England, allegedly, she moved in with one of her sons and his girlfriend. Now, the girlfriend, given everything that had happened with this fella's family, was not happy about this, not happy about it at all. And a massive row, happened between Kathleen's son and his girlfriend. You want to know what happened? He stabbed her 12 times. He stabbed this poor girlfriend 12 times. Now, I believe she lived. All it says is that she lived, and he is now doing many, many years in prison. That's how vague this is. So I will say allegedly, But this woman's just poison. She's poison. Absolutely vile, 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 vile woman. The dad, John Mulhall, yeah, he killed himself in December of 2005. So about 9 months after the murder had happened, even though he didn't take part in it, because maybe he couldn't live with himself of helping them. Maybe it was because his daughters were going to get locked up. I don't know, but he killed himself. John did. So that's John, that's Kathleen. Okay, Charlotte. Now, Charlotte, the 21-year-old, in 2008, there was a picture released to the media showing her holding a knife in prison, holding a knife up to a fellow inmate, like posing for the picture. Not that she was aggressively doing it, she was posing. That's what I'm saying. This girl, she wasn't remorseful at all. She's doing life. And I think, I don't know if she's proud of it, but she posed for a picture. Look what I'm capable of. So this made it out into the media, public uproar over it, because this crime really did hit Ireland quite bad. They were disgusted by it, that not just the murder itself, but the after effect, the dismemberment, everything. Just every part of this story, Ireland was disgusted with. So Charlotte was actually moved to Limerick prison after that. I presume it's maybe a stronger prison, maybe, but not stronger. What's the word I'm looking for? Stricter prison, stricter. My brain's gone down. Stricter prison, stricter lockdowns and things like that. There we go. So that's Charlotte. Now Linda, she didn't. I don't want to feel sorry for this girl because she took part in it. She was the one that moved his head. More secure, thank you, Tiffany, a more secure prison. She did what she did with his head. She obviously wasn't right herself. So I don't feel sorry for her in any way, but she did confess. But then you could say, did she do that to get less time? She knew they were going to catch them anyway. I don't know, but she slit her wrists quite soon after being in prison. She didn't cope very well with it at all, but she did her time. Now, Linda, April 2009, it was said that she told a fella inmate that Farah's head had been smashed into pieces in bins in Phoenix Park. That was said in 2009. Like I say, his head was never found, or his penis. So his family will never be buried together, which is, I hate it, them stories when that happens. I've done a few where they've been dismembered and certain body parts haven't been found, and I hate that. I hate that part of anything. Now Linda was eventually released in 2018, and a reporter had found out where she'd moved to. She's still in Ireland. And when he approached her, I think he knocked on her door. She just basically said, look, I've got no comment. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to get on and live my life. Her brother one of the brothers had been looking after Linda's 4 kids. Remember I said she had 4 kids that were taken into care when they'd been abused by a partner of hers. I believe she got them back briefly. And then obviously when this all happened, they would have gone into care again. But her brother stepped forward to look after the 4 children with 6 of his own. But then it was said he allegedly robbed a couple of women, and he was arrested for that. And he said, look, I can't afford to look after his 10 kids. So that kind of was thrown into the mix as well. Obviously, her kids will be practically grown now, so I'd be curious to know, do they have anything to do with Linda now? I don't know. So where we are with it all is Kathleen is living in England, last known. Linda is living in Dublin, last known. Charlotte is obviously living in Limerick prison and will be for, I think life is life in Ireland. But I'm not 100% sure. But it's obviously not 15 years because she'd have been out by now. John, the dad, went on to kill himself. One of the brothers tried to kill his missus for not letting the mum stay. What a messy story. What a messy family. What a whole mess. And I feel sorry for Farah's family in Kenya not being able to bury their son. Don't get me wrong. I'm torn. I'm not torn. What was done to this man was horrific. It was awful. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he was a good man. You know, he was this pillar of society. And, you know, look, some of the stories I've done where it's like, why? And you know, it's still a why, but I can't say he was, look, say the pillar of society. I can't say that. I can't sit here and say that. And part of me thinks that if he'd have actually faced the repercussions of and the consequences of the crimes that he committed when he first went, you know, came to Ireland with the rape of the mentally disabled Chinese girl, with the having a child with the underage girls, raping another girl. You know, if he'd have faced the consequences of that and gone to prison, he possibly would never have met Kathleen and this would never have happened. So it's kind of like a Final Destination-ish type deal with this. But I think the real, what's the word I'm looking for? A horrible person in this story is Kathleen Moore, or Kathy Ward as she's calling herself now. If she's still calling herself that, who knows? Just, they were your daughters. They were your kids. And not only did you do that, not only did you encourage them to do that and watch them kill this man and dismember him and help with the getting burying his, but not even burying his body, putting his body in the canal and burying his head, walking around Dublin with his head in a rucksack. Not only were you part of all of that, when, I'm going to say, when the shit hit the fan, you were gone. Gone. You left your daughters hung out to dry. And that's what really, it's not the only part that caught me, but it's still a part that I'm like, I struggle with. I'm like, how? The dad didn't, you know, John didn't take part in the murder, the dismemberment or anything else. He was there in his mind, I presume. I believe he probably thought he was helping his daughters by helping to get rid of Farah's remains. But even he couldn't live with himself after that. Not only could Kathleen live with herself, she went off to live a whole new life in England. You know, let's move on. And then when she did her time and came back, she then caused blue murder with her son and his partner. This woman's priceless, absolutely priceless. I just, this, from beginning to end, my mum told me about this story, and the more I find out about it, the worse it got. And I just think, you were their mom. You are their mom. And it's just crazy to me that this even happened. So that was the brutal case of Ireland's Scissor Sisters. What do you think? What are your thoughts on it? Because I'm at a loss for words over this. It's just, it's sad, it's brutal, it's gruesome, it's gory, there's disloyalty. It's just awful. Kelly, do you mean the American case again? You did the other night, Sunday was. Yeah, I've listened to that. Let's have a look what you're saying. The sentence is pathetic, Phil. It really was. Head in a bucket. I don't know that one. Ooh, I might have to have a look at that one. But yeah, this one, and the effects will be felt for a long time. Because don't forget, there's kids and there's grandkids and great grandkids, and unless they completely separate themselves, and that's what I'm saying. There was 6. Don't forget, Kathleen and John had 6 kids. Charlotte and Linda were only 2 of them. I've mentioned a son, maybe 2, the son that's looking after Linda's kids, and then the son in England. There's 2 other kids. I don't know, maybe they were younger, maybe they were older. I don't know. They seem to have kept themselves out of it. How did their kids feel about their nan? Do they know? It's just horrific. Just an awful, horrible story. And I just at a loss for words, absolute loss for words. Now, if the world is getting worse, Kelly, it's awful. It's absolutely horrific. It's the mentality for me. It's how do you come up with things like that? Where does your mind go that you're coming up with things like that? Now, yes, he was holding Linda that night in the house, and there was a lot of drinking, there was a lot of drugs and everything else. But the 3 of them could have subdued him maybe without doing that, perhaps. But Kathleen didn't want to get her hands dirty, did she? Thanks, sis. I'm sorry about the mess up at the beginning with the noise. Sorry about having brain blocks. I do have them. I get so carried away. I get so involved in the stories that then sometimes when I'm trying to say a word, my brain just goes on. Starts singing a song, starts doing something, and then I'm bleh. So thank you for sticking with me. We're nearly an hour again. But yeah, I've had a few people this week requesting a couple of stories, but I have promised Kelly first. You were after my mum. You were my next request, so I'm gonna. Do you know what it is that's holding me off on the Turpin case? It's so in depth. I think there's a chance we may have to do it over 2, maybe. I'll see if I can get it into the 1, because I know it's a long time to be keeping you away from what you need to be doing. But yeah, I will be looking into that and just seeing if I can maybe condense it down to an hour, maybe just over. Otherwise, I might have to split it into 2. Okay, really? Yes, because you know what? Because it's Jess Rose Thursday. If anyone's watching tomorrow, someone's put that they look forward to a Thursday, which I really appreciate. And then that's Kelly, and I've got a gentleman called Phil who calls it Jess Rose Thursday. I'm not just calling it that myself. I'm genuinely not. I have been told that, so I'm running with it. That's what I'm doing. But yes, it's Jess Rose Thursday, and I'm glad you were all able to join me again. I'm sorry I didn't do the the live this afternoon. I was worried about that. The kids are at home, and if you think it was noisy now, we have got our own little community feel. I feel like that too. It's lovely. I love to see all your names and stuff. It's amazing. I like to do it justice for you. And sometimes I get annoyed at myself when I'm stuttering or not getting the right words. I do get very annoyed with myself, especially watching it back, because I will sit and watch this back afterwards. I don't know if you realise that, but that's what I do, because it uploads straight to YouTube. So I like to re-watch it, and I always shout at the screen 10 times over while I'm watching it. I'm like, how could you not know what that word was? So yes, thank you for bearing with me and being patient. What I was going to say now, yes, the live that I normally do to tell you what story I'm doing on the night. You think the kids were noisy now? This afternoon, this house you might as well have been shaking. I only have 2. I've only got 2 kids and their noise. So, yeah, there was no way of getting a live done this afternoon. So I did put a note up. Did you all see the note that I put up today? And if you did, would that be adequate on a Thursday from now on, rather than doing the short live mentioning what I'm doing on the evening? Would just a note on the YouTube, would that be okay? Or is it not something that shows up that clearly? Because if it's not, I can continue to do the live. Are you sure? Because, yeah, I'm not sure how it shows up on your subscribers. I'm not sure, if it gives you a notification. I'm not too sure how that works. And I'd hate for you to think, oh, I'm not doing one because I haven't done a live earlier on in the day. So if you're all happy with me to do that, I might do that from now on. Is that okay? Okay, Kelly Tiff, that's lovely. I might do that from now on then. Just put a little note on YouTube itself just to say, oh, it does come up like a video. Excellent. Oh, I didn't know that's how it came up. That's good. I'm pleased with that. So I'll just do that from now on, rather than you having to deal with me with 2 lives and stuff. Because, yeah, when it's noisy, it's just a nightmare. I mean, see how quiet they've been there. I've got the wrath of mom. I rule the house. Anyway, see how I'm whispering when I say it. But yeah, thank you all for joining me again. I genuinely really appreciate it, because it's been another long one. It's very in depth, this one. When there's a lot of names, I know it can get a bit confusing. Thank you, Phil. There is a lot of us stutter. I do stutter a lot. It's when my mouth's going too fast for my brain, I think, or my brain's going too fast for my mouth, I think. I just can't keep up. But yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Like I say, I'll definitely put up the video I'm doing. Do you like the long ones? As long as you don't mind the long ones, I love doing them. I just always feel bad when I see it clicking over the arrow. I'm like, these people have probably got things to do. So, but if you're okay with them being long, then I don't mind maybe stretching the terping one out a bit longer next week, because I think, I could be wrong, but all the names and all the details, ages, everything else, I think it's going to be a long one, but it really is. It's one that I do have to do because it's awful. Awful. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just terrible parents, awful parenting. And I'll just leave it at that. And you'd have to tune in next week to see what I'm on about. But I'm going to go now then, and I hope you all have a fabulous weekend and week. And the kids are back at school on Monday, so I'm very happy. And yeah, that's it. Long ones are good. I'm really glad that you're okay with the long ones. So as long as you don't mind, I don't mind. I love them too. I love having a chat with you. I wish I could talk more, but if I break from the story, it's hard pulling myself back in. It really is. So I love the fact that you do talk amongst yourselves, because it just makes it easier. So I haven't got to think, oh, someone hasn't had a response to that, or, because I'd hate that. Good night, Kelly. Thank you so much. Was that it? I think that was it. Was there anything else I was going to say to you? Brain block again. I think that was it. I'll probably think of it afterwards. Okay, so just very quickly, Tiff, you thought I'd forgotten, but I haven't. It came back. Like, comment, subscribe, please, people. I'd really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'd really appreciate it if you like afterwards, because it doesn't clock it on the live for whatever reason. So, yeah, if you can look, comment, subscribe. I don't know what I look. It's just, I watch it afterwards. I'm like, what are you doing? But I can't help myself, because I just feel really lame going, can you like and comment and subscribe on my video? What was what? That's my like, comment, subscribe. That's what that was. It's the same. Have I changed it? Did I change it up? Like, comment, subscribe. Oh, it's all going horribly wrong now. I'm going to go before it ends up with my arms up here, because that's where we're going with it all. Right. Good night, everyone. Hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.